The Sikha we will be learning is a look at the Sikha Chelik of Zayin, the second Sikha for Parshas Tzav. It's talking about the Posik in Parshas Tzav, which talks about the Korban Teda. The Posik talks about the Korban Shlomim, certain Korbanos that a person could bring. And one of the Korbanos is a Korban Teda. That's a Korban that you bring if a miracle happened to you, or you cross the ocean, the water, other things. You bring a Korban. So there you have to bring an animal, certain animal, and you have to bring certain breads, lechem. Part of it is matzah, part of it is chametz, etc., etc. Then the posik says, "Upsar zebach teidach shlomo." We're going to learn the sichas soon inside, but I'm going to read the posik first. Upsar zebach teidach shlomo, and the meat of the korban of the teida, the shlomim of the teida, b'yom karbonah yochel. It shall be eaten on the day that you brought it. And this goes not only on the meat; it goes on the bread also. But it says you could eat it the day it was brought as a korban. And don't leave over from it till the morning. That means it has to be finished by the morning. So Rashi explains, so the Rebbe says, I'm going to read the Sikh inside. In Posik, that the meat from the korban tomit should be eaten the day you bring it. Do not leave it over till the morning. Rashi quotes from the Posik the words, do not leave over from it till the next morning. And his Mefarish and explains, but you could eat it all night. Or some gear says that the Rebbe says in Order 2, in many Kisveyad, the Rebbe had copies of many manuscripts of Rashi, of the commentary of Rashi that was written before the printing press was invented. So the Rebbe had some, so he could see there what their girsa was. So some of the places, it doesn't even say the word avol. So what the Pasuk is saying, when the Pasuk says, do not leave over till the next morning, that means you could eat it the whole night. So it comes out, this is one of those karbonas that you could eat, yom v'layla, yom echad v'layla. You could eat it the whole day that the korban was brought, and you could eat it also the next night. So seemingly a whole night you could eat it. Because the Posik says, don't leave it over till the morning. It means that by the time the morning comes, you can't leave it over anymore. So till then, you could eat it. So the Posik tells you that you could eat it all night. But then Rashi asks, if so, why did they say you could only eat it till midnight? And who's the they? So Poshup Shat, they means the Chachomim. That's the expression usually. And here also, if you learn Poshup Shat and Rashi, it means why did the Chachomim? We know that the Chachamim said you could only eat these karbonas till midnight. To make a person far from doing an aveda. If you let them eat it till the morning, which means a person might go to the last minute, they might go over the time. So in order to make sure that you don't do an aveda with it, so they said you should finish eating it bat chatzos by midnight. The Pashtas land, in simple pshat we learn, Amit Lama Omru Meit Rashi. When Rashi says, why did they say, where did they say it? Who said it? So Poshup Pshat, as I said a minute ago, Dos was steht in Teiras Kenim al Asar in the Mishnah. It means the same thing as it says in the Teiras Kenim, which is similar to Gemara and the Mishnayos. And it says in the Mishnah, there it says clearly, Lama Omru Chachomim at Chatzos. Why did the Chachamim say that you eat till since in Pasuk it seems you could eat it the whole night? Why did the Chachamim say that you could eat it only till Chatzos till midnight? Well, Befratas and Kamekis V'Yad from Pirush Rashi is the Gir Saloma Omru Chachamim. In some manuscripts in Rashi, it says the word Chachamim. In our print of Rashi, it says Loma Omru. Why did they say? We assume it means the Chachamim, like it says in Teras Kenim. In some versions of Rashi in the manuscript, it says clearly in the words of Rashi, Loma Omru Chachamim. Why did the Chachamim say? As a Chachamim, the Chachamim were the ones that made this decree that you could only eat the meat of the korban till midnight, till chatzos. And in the parentheses, the Rebbe says, if we say it means the Chachamim, it means the Chachamim that lived bisman by Yisheni, in the time of the second Beis Hamikdash. And as the Rebbe brings in order 7, that in the Mechilta it actually says on this, that by doing this we fulfill what the Anshe Knesses Agdela said, that you should make a fence to Torah. Chachamim should make different things forbidden as a fence. You shouldn't come to do the real Aveda from the Torah. And this is one of them. And the Rebbe brings from the Likutei Torah of the Alter Rebbe, and from the Siddur of the Alter Rebbe, in many places, that most of the decrees and the fences that the Chachamim made to forbid certain things in order not to come to do things which are forbidden from the Torah, most of them happened in the time of the Bayesheni. And the Rebbe says, even though we do find some Gzeiras before, but most of them is Bayesheni. So according to the Pshat, the way it's simply learned, that when Rasha says, V'lo ma'omru, why did they say Mizah Chachamim? Those Chachamim made all kinds of Gzeiras, all kinds of Siyogim. They also made a Gzeira when it comes to eating a korban that you could really midaraisa from the Torah, eat it till the next morning. They said eat it only up to Chatzos, and they said you're not allowed to eat it after Chatzos. And that's what Rash asks. Since the Pasuk says Le'yaniyachat Beke, don't leave it till the morning, which means that you could eat it the whole night. And Rashi starts off, you could eichel kol halaylo. So why did the Chachamim say to only eat it till Chatzos? And the answer is to push a person away from the possibility of doing an Aveira. But the Rebbe says, nicht verstanden, it's not understood. Pirish Rashi ala Torah is not a sefer halachas. Rashi's commentary on the Torah is not a sefer of halachas. No, Rashi as Rashi writes many places, Ani leibosi elo pshuta shel. I came only to explain the simple meaning of the words of the pasuk. And so according to this, it comes out that that the Chachamim added that you can't eat it after Chatzos, it's not part of the pasuk. It has nothing to do with the pshat in the pasuk. It's initially the pasuk said you could eat it all night. Then there's another din, which is la'alocha negeya, that the Chachamim said, and Rashi explains why. But Al Pizeh, since Rashi only writes simple pshat in the pasuk, l'may nafkamin pshuta shel mikra, the gzeiras Chachamim. Why is there? What difference does it make in simple pshat of the mikra of the pasuk? Why it makes a difference? The gzeiras Chachamim, what the Chachamim says, man rab noch matan Torah. They were many years after the Torah was given, which is the mikra. The chumash was given by matan Torah, and this was many years later. What's the connection to the pshat? What difference does it make to the pshat? The fact that the Chachamim said years later that you shouldn't eat after, how does that explain anything in the pasuk? So why does Rashi bring it? Rashi should have said just a simple pshat in pasuk. Pasuk like you could eat it all night. That's all. That's what the Torah says. Now there's a din that the Rabbanan made that's nothing to do with the pasuk. Why does Rashi bring it? Nochmer is a more kasha. Rashi zog, the loshon of Rashi is im kein loma omru. If so, why did they say? Das heißt, that means, as I say, it's obvious that we already know that you're not allowed to eat only till Chatzos. So if we know that already, the Farsh tells of the Shaila, so the question comes up, Lama Amru. So why did they say it? When the time is, and the reason is not to stay away from Aveira. But it seems from the way Rashi writes it, that a person who's learning this pasuk already knows that you could only, the Chachamim said, only eat it till Chatzos. And the Kasher Rashi asks, why did they say it? It's not understood. From Vana Weisman in Pshuta Shel Mikra, wegen the Gzeiras Chachamim. How do someone who learns Pshat, and the Rebbe said it many times in all the Sichas that Rashi's Pshat commentary was written even for people who just started learning Chumash. They don't know anything anymore, they don't know anything more. All they know is what they're learning and what they learned previously in the previous Psukim and Rashi. So where does a person who starts learning, especially a child, when Chomesh Lemik, a 5-year-old child, which Rashi's commentary is made even for him, where does he know that the Chachamim said that you only could eat it till Chatzos? And B'meila Rashi has a kasha, as Rashi so them darf man bavoren in the Shaila Lomra mat Chatzos. The Rashi should have to ask why. Who knows to begin with that? That's the din that you could only, that the Chachamim said till Chatzos. So obviously there must be some other way we know it. Where is that? The Pelim Pirish Rashi is noch gresa. This problem that we have, this wonder on Rashi, this question on Rashi, is even stronger, greater than we thought. Die bavoren is as Choshim na Teire kemen essen im Korben ad Beiker hat haben aber Chachamim Geze gewem wir das megen essen nur Chatzos. This idea that we're saying that even though that's what we learned till now, that even though the Torah says you could eat it all night, till the morning, nevertheless the Chachamim made a decree that you could only eat it till Chatzos. So this idea, the Shaykh Ba'ala Korbanah Zechal Nechon and Yem V'Layla, this Inyan is by all sacrifices, all korbanos that you could eat a day and a night. So Posha Pshat is they could eat it all day, the day that you brought it, and the whole night after that. So this Inyan is shayches to all the korbanos. Was wegen eine von sei Korban Pesach hat man schon gelernt in Parsha Bei. Concerning one of the other korbanos that has this din that could eat it day and night, we learned already before in Parshas Bei concerning the Korban Pesach. What does the pasuk say? V'ochles abosar b'layla hazeh. You should eat the meat Korban Pesach this night. Don't leave over of it till the morning. It means it can't go more than the morning. So that's one of those karbonas that you could eat for a day and a night. So the shaila. So the question is, if Rashi learns that we know somehow that you could eat a korban, any korban that you're allowed to eat a whole day and night, you're allowed to eat it till the morning, as it says in the Torah. The Rabbana made excited. So why does Rashi first come here by us and ask why did the Chacham say Chatzos? Why doesn't he do it over there? Because the din over there is the same, and that comes earlier. Befrat as a mechilte, or especially then in mechilte and that posik over there. Norden veres mefarash as achilas pesach is achial amud shachar. And the posik says they could eat it. You could have it. Don't leave over only till the morning, not further. So the mechilte says first of all that the korban pesach could be eaten only till amud shachar. Because sometimes we consider the next day starts from Netzach Hama, which is sunrise, HaNetzach Hama, and sometimes it's earlier, which is the stage of Aleisa Shachar. So the Mechilta says that Korban Pesach you could eat up to Aleisa Shachar, the earliest time. We learned up from them Kefil Ad Beker, like we learn out that the Pasuk repeats itself by the Korban Pesach, says twice the word Ad Beker till the morning. Why does it say twice till the morning? To give a time, a limit, a morning before the morning. So the morning could mean Hanetzach Hama, which is sunrise. When it says another baker, it means there's a morning before. So from there we learn out that it's this earlier stage of day that you have to stop eating. So the Mechilta who says that, right away says, since we could eat it till Aleisa Shachar, why did the Chachamim say till Chatzos? To keep a person away from Naveira. So the Mechilta says it by the Korban Pesach. And Rashi brings das Cholos Inyan. Rashi brings the beginning of the Mechilta by Korban Pesach. As von Ad Beker, versteht Pam Shnia, lernt man up Lieten Beker, that from the second time the Pasuk says the word Beker till the morning, we learn now that there's a Beker a morning before the morning. The Rashi brings this, that the Pasuk comes to teach you that you can't eat it after Aleisa Shachar. You could only eat till Aleisa Shachar. So that part he brings for the Mechilta. And he skips what the Mechilta continues with the question, so why did the Chacham sell till Chatzos? Rashi doesn't bring it. So it's strange. Rashi brings it here by us in Parshat Tzav, in the Geya, the Korban Teda. And over there it doesn't bring it. And it's funny because the Mechilta brings it over there. It should be the opposite. Es wird mehr Ort zu bewohnen, dass man Korban Pesach either zu tun ist, it makes more sense to mention this by the Korban Pesach, which is written earlier, than to write it in our parsha, which is in the Korban Teda. Why? For Beleil Pesach, this idea that you have to finish Bechtzos, and it's Rashi written in his time for people of when there's no Beis Hamikdash, but still it's more chance that people know that you have to eat the Korban Pesach before Chatzos, because we now have a similar minig that you eat the Afekaimen before Chatzos. And the reason why is there a din that you have to eat the Afekaimen before Chatzos? Is a zeichet to Korban Pesach. It's a zeichet to remind us of the Korban Pesach, which could be eaten only till Chatzos. So that's something that fits more, that people should know that you eat it till Chatzos. And as the Rebbe brings in Order 12, this comes from the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, that why did we read the Korban Pesach? Came until Chatzos because of the Korban Pesach. And the Rebbe even adds in the Order 12, and even a child sees that on Pesach night, you rush to make sure the Afikemen is written eat before Chatzos. And for sure he'll ask why. The Frat Pesach night, when it says time when children ask, so he'll ask why. So this question that Rashi asked, that we know that the korban has to be before Chatzos, and the question is why, when the Torah says you could eat it the whole night. So it fits some more over here. That here you should ask it. So by the korban Pesach, it makes more sense that the Torah should ask, since we see that you have to eat it before Chatzos, why? How does that fit what the Torah says? Don't leave it over after the morning, which means you could eat it the whole night. So here, it would make sense. So by the Korban Pesach, it would make more sense that Rashi should ask the question, why did Chachamim say Chatzos? More than saying it after here, and not by the Korban Pesach. Now, the Rebbe in the Orah 13 says, even by the Korban Pesach, Rashi really didn't have to say it. We understand why. Because this din that you can't leave it over into the morning, which means that you could eat it the whole night, is written in Parshas Bay, but there it's written concerning Pesach Mitzrayim. The Pesach Mitzrayim means the Korban Pesach, the way it was given to the Eden while the Eden were still in Mitzrayim before they left. Then there's Pesach Deiros. Later on, it talks about the Korban Pesach of later generations. This Pasuk that we're talking about is written by Pesach Mitzrayim. So from the Pasuk itself, it's no proof. And we're looking at the Psukim. We don't know other dinim. We're looking at the Psukim. When you're learning that Pasuk, we still don't know that in Pesach Deiros, that all of the Korban Pesach from later generations will be the same din that you could eat it the whole night. Because in many details, the Korban Pesach of Mitzrayim was different than the Pesach Deiros. And by Pesach Deiros, the tak is not mentioned b'chlal this din, but eating the Korban Pesach till when you could eat it. In Pesach Sheni, later on the Parsha Ba'al Leischo, there it says that this is the din that you have to eat it till the morning. And there it says this is the law of all the Korban Pesach. So from there we learn out that the same thing is by all the Korban Pesachs. But in Parshas Bay, by the Korban Pesach itself, the way it's written there, this pasuk that you could eat it till the morning, it's no right, that's a Korban Pesach. So even there, maybe you shouldn't even have to tell us, ask the question, why did Chacham say Chatzos? Because they don't know yet. But at least there's some possibility, because after all, it's the Korban Pesach. By the Korban Pesach, we all see that we rush. So maybe over there could say. But to say it not over there and say it in our parsha, but negate the Korban Torah, why would the Torah do that? Over here, and not there and here to say, which means, and here we don't even know who says that Bichlal we know that we could eat it till Chatzos only, that we should ask a Shaila, why did they do it? So why does Rashi write it here, not over there? The beer and them explanation is like this. The Rinyan Azachilas Azebech is not at Chatzos, Weisman like Pirish Rashi, not from Teres Kenim Mishne, but from Posti Gufel Vipshute Shel Mikra. Not like we said before. Before we assumed that, how do we know that the Korban Pesach, that the Korbanos, the Torah, could be eaten only till Chatzos? Because it says in Mishnah, it says in Teras Keanim. So that's a separate din we said before. So what does it got to do with the Pasuk? The Rebbe says that's not the pshat. That we know not from there, but from Pasuk Gufa L'Pipshute Shel Mikra. We know that from the Pasuk itself, from the simple words of the Pasuk. Hey, the Rebbe is not going to say it right away. Just keep in mind, I'll get back to that later on, that we know it from this Pasuk. If it would be nothing to do with the pasuk, it's just that Rabbanan made a decree after the Torah said, and years later they made a decree that Taka has nothing to do with the simple pshat in the pasuk. So in Mela we know that it has at chatzos, and it's not from the Gzeira the Rabbanan. Dos was Rasha zog the Ruif Lomo Omru. So why does Rasha use the losh, and why did they say? Which simple pshat means the Chachamim. Especially according to this version in Rashi, that the Rashi actually wrote the words Lomar Amar Chachamim, but we just said it's not from the Chachamim. Somehow it's from the pasuk itself. It has to do with the pasuk itself. As I verstandig like much in Amol Mavayir given, so it says I'll explain this based on something that I explained another time, and this is in the Sichas Chedek Vov and Chedek Gedimel, etc. Loshen Rashi in Parsha B'Shalach and the Gates of Tchum Shabbos. The Loshen of Rashi, look in the words of Rashi concerning Tchum Shabbos in Parsha B'Shalach. Tchum Shabbos is that there is a certain amount of space a person could walk on Shabbos outside of the city. And there is an argument actually in Gemara. You can't walk. The Rabbi Kiva holds that Tchumin is the Raisa, and you can't walk a milch outside of the Apayim Amma, 2,000 Amma outside of the city. Now Rabbi Kiva holds that this is a din deraisa, and the Chacham holds it's not a din deraisa. So Rasha, and that's called Tchumin. And if you do walk outside of the city more than the shear, you could only stay within your dalad amas. You could stay within your 4 amas, and you can't move around any further. That's the din. So Rasha writes in Parsha B'Shalach like this. The posik there talks about the mon. And the posuk also says, Shvu ish tachtov. Every person should sit under himself, which means don't move. Stay where you are. So on that, Rashi says, Mekan somcha chachomim. From here, the chachomim made a smach, relied on this posuk, and they brought out daladamis liyetzchutz l'tchum, that if somebody walks out of the tchum on Shabbos, has 4 amas in which he could be, and he can't walk out of the 4 amas, but he has 4 amas where he could be. Then the pasuk also says, Al Yetzi Ishmim Kaimei, a person should not go out of his place. And Poshup Pshat is talking about the people to collect them on Shabbos. Don't go out to collect them on. But Rasha says on the words Al Yetzi, don't go out. Eilu Al Payim Amash El Tchum Shabbos. This refers to the 2,000 Amma of the Tchum Shabbos. That there is a Tchum Shabbos that you should not walk out from the city. And Rasha adds, Leib Mefurish. That is not clearly in the Pasuk. She'ain Tchumen El Medivir Seifrim, because the Easter of Tchumen, the Easter of walking out more than 2,000 Amma, is Medivir Seifrim, which simple pshat we think is the Rabbanon. The Ikre Shel Mikra Lekam Nemer. The main Pasuk, the main meaning of the Pasuk is talking about those that are collecting the mon, telling them don't go out. So that's what Rasha says. Now, if you learn this Rasha without what the Rebbe is going to explain, it seems like Rasha says clearly that the inyan of Tchum is only a different sefer, and so in the Rabbanon. The Pasuk is not talking about it. The Dikar Pasuk is talking about the collecting of the mon. And when he says also in the other Pasuk that the 4 amas is also some Chachamim. The Chachamim learned out that when you walk out with the Tchum, you have 4 amas. It's all a din Rabbanon. So the Rebbe explained in another place, as Rasha is Medaik, and if you look in the exact words of Rasha, Rasha says, all he says is, Nor Ikre Shel Mikra Leklem Onemra. He doesn't say the Pasuk is not talking about only about the collecting of the mon and not talking about the tchum. The main part of the pasuk is talking about the collectors of the mon. Because according to Rashi, the Rebbe learns the fact that you can't walk more than 2,000 amma on Shabbos is learned from pasuk. We learn it from the pasuk. Ubemele says adin teira. It's adin from the teira that I said. Alpha people says nitikri. It's not the main part of the pasuk, but the pasuk is telling it us. And the moment we're saying the pasuk is telling us that, it's the Pasuk, it's the Raisa. And Nora 18, the Rebbe says that Rasha learns like Rabbi Kiva in Gemara that the din of Tchumin is a din the Raisa. The difference is that according to Rabbi Kiva, we learn it in a different way, and according to Rasha, we learn it from this Pasuk, that the same Pasuk which teaches us this din, that's not the Iker of the Pasuk. But the Pasuk does mean that, so it is Midaraisa. And he said, where do we see it in the Pasuk? Not the Iker pshat in the Pasuk, but it is also the pshat of the Pasuk. So the Rebbe explains, the simple pshat in the Pasuk forces you to learn that way. For maybe the Torah will gemeint nord like Amon, like Temon. If the Torah would just mean to tell the people that are collecting the mon, don't walk out to collect the mon, or the Lashon HaPasuk Adav Zayin, the Pasuk should have written, Al Yetzu Lilkid B'Yem Hashvi. Don't go to collect on the 7th day. Okay, or something similar like that. The Baldas is state B'Lashon Stomi, since it says in a very vague Lashon, sit under yourself and don't go out of your place is the full muchach that proves the Torah wants to hint to a general din, not only connected to the collectors of the mon. And it teaches us teaches us that there is a place you cannot go. So it teaches us about the 2,000 amma that a person cannot go out from Shabbos. For the parsha is but since the ikar of the parsha, the main part of the parsha, the general teich meaning, contents of the parsha is talking about the collecting of the mon. Idarinya from Tchum Shabbos nit ikar shel mikra, and so Tchum Shabbos is not the main thing of the pasuk, but it is part of the pasuk, so it's part of the Torah. And the Rebbe Nora 19 says this is not different than other places. We find many places in Rashi's commentary on the Torah, sometimes Rashi brings a pshat, but then he brings also a drash. When does he bring a drash? When the pshat needs extra fixing, because the pshat is not clear. So the Rashi is meisiv pirish al derech hadrash. That's a pirish drash. The hainu. So what is that drash? Is that pshat in posik or not? Means yes, that drash is also part, you could say it in the simple pshat of the posik. Rashi says, I'm writing a commentary to explain the pshuta shel mikro, and he adds, and agoda means what drash of the chachomim that will explain the posik. So when Rashi brings the drash, he means that's the pshat in the pasuk. It's not the main of the pshat. It's the exact same thing here also. Rashi says there's 2 things in the pasuk. There's one, the ikar of the pasuk, and then there is an extra thing that the pasuk teaches us, which is also pshat in the pasuk. And that in this case is that there is a din of Tchum Shabbos, and that is mideraisa according to Rashi. Ayah doesn't fit maybe to halacha, so that we have a klal already many times. And Rashi wrote his commentary according to Pshat. It doesn't fit, not always doesn't have to fit halacha. Derech halacha is one derech halimut, one derech to learn Torah. There's derech hapshat, it's another derech, and according to derech hapshat, there are other dinim, and then we find clear places in Rashi where Rashi writes clear things which is against halacha, but he learns that's a pshat in the pasuk, so that's no problem. So according to Rashi and derech hapshat, the pasuk teaches us midaraisa that there is a din Tchum Shabbos. Rashi said that the Lashon Hebrew called it before that Tchumin is Medivrei Seifrim. The far roof that's on Rashi Divrei Seifrim. And now we'll understand, since it's not the Iker of the pasuk, Rashi refers to Divrei Seifrim. Rashi meant the Nidzogen Ados is Ashpeterik et Takanos Chachomim. Rashi didn't mean that this is a Takona established by the Chachomim in generations later. Since it's something that's not obvious in the pasuk, so it's not Ikra Shlemikra, it's not the main part of the pasuk. He says Aninya from Divrei Seifrim. Rashi refers to it as Divrei Seifrim. Doesn't mean it's the Rabbanan. What's Divrei Seifrim? Seifrim, who are the Seifrim? The Chacham are the Seifrim. Why are they called Seifrim? They're called Seifrim because they learned the Sefer. Torah is called Sefer. It says in the pasuk, Sefer HaTeirah. Divrei Seifrim means the ones that looked into the words and the letters of what it says in the Sefer. So they learned from the Lashon Mikra. So they looked into the pasuk and they learned out from the pasuk. This is a pshat in the, so it's pshat in the pasuk. But we say it came through Divrei Seifrim that they learned it out. And the Rebbe brings the order 20 that there is a sheet of the Rambam. Sometimes the Rambam refers to a din deraisa and he calls it Divrei Seifrim. And the Rebbe brings Ma'amrei Kemis, but the Rambam says that's a long arichis in the Mefarshim. But we see that sometimes the Rambam uses the word Divrei Seifrim, which normally is used as a din derabanan, and the Rambam uses it also sometimes for a din deraisa. In order 21, the Rebbe says we call them Seifrim. The Gemara says in Kedushin that why they called Seifrim? From the word counting. Sefer is the count. Show you Seifrim kol eisish b'Torah. They counted the aces of the Torah. So again, they looked into the letters of the Torah, and it's also the word Seifrim also comes as Rashi brings from Loshen Seifrim. Seifrim means writers. They wrote, which means they looked into and they saw the meaning of the pasuk. Rashi uses a Loshen that Tikkun Seifrim, something that they fixed, whatever. Not to go into that, but the word Divrei Seifrim could refer not dafka to the Chachamim, but it does refer to the Chachamim, but not always does it mean the Chachamim of the Tkufa, the period of the Chachamim, which is in the second time, mainly with the second Beis Hamikdash. It means Chachamim Bichlal. And they learned the Diyukim in the Pasuk. And the Rebbe in Order 22 brings an example to it. Another Rashi. Rashi in Parsha Kesisa says, Benegeye Bosar B'cholim, not to mix milk and meat. So Rashi says, what about chicken? Not meat of a payment, but chicken. So Rashi says, Ein isurim in atayra elam divrei seifrim. That the isur of chicken with milk is not isur from the Torah, but from divrei seifrim. He uses the word divrei seifrim. So Rebbe learns the pshat there too. Rashi doesn't mean that it's a separate takon chacham they made later. The rice it's only by behemoth, by animals. And Rashi and the chacham added that chicken also not, and that's al pi halacha, that's a din derabanan. That Rashi doesn't mean that. Rashi learns that it's learned out from the pasuk. And the Rebbe explains in the Sichas Chedek Vov, and later on in the order here, that it means takas the rice, and they learn now from others. Otherwise, Rashi wouldn't even bring it. Like Rashi doesn't bring separate dinim that Chachamim made. It's a din the rice, but it's nevertheless divrei seifrim. Why? Because it's not the ikir, like he says here. It's not the ikir is not but the tchumin. There also the ikir is not benegei chicken with meat, but it's learned out from a dik in the pasuk. That's what the Rebbe says in order 22. When the seifrim, when it says go back to the pnim. When the seifrim, when it says this is different seifrim by the tchum, when it says different seifrim, it doesn't mean the words of the seifrim of the chachamim that lived in a certain period that they made all these takonas, all these gzeiras. Now the seifrim shebachol der b'der only from mamation. Seifrim is all generation, means the chachamim, the seifrim who looked into the Torah, starting from the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu. So we call them seifrim also. And Moshe Rabbeinu learned up shot in the pasuk, so it's a din deraisa, but we call it different seifrim for a different reason, because you have to be a sefer, you have to be someone who is medayik in the words to come out, because the iker, the simple, superficial pshat is not that, but that's also there, hinted in there. The lotion for Rasha, if Shvuish Tachto, Mekan Somcha Chachamim, Dal Ames, Lietze Chutz L'Tchum. Till now, the Rebbe explained the Rasha where it says, and Al Yetze Ishim came and don't go out, that it means the 2,000 Amo of the Tchum. And that is not Mefurish, it's different safer, but it's, the Iker is not for that, but it's still the Reiset Rebbe learns. Now the Rebbe said the same thing, the other part of Rasha, where he says over there, B'shalach Shvuish Tachto, where the Pasuk says, sit under your place, Mekan Somcha Chachamim, the Chachamim were Seimech, we relied on this to say that there are daladamas that if a person walks out of the tchum, all he has is daladamas, he could be within his daladamas. So here also Rasha writes, you can't somcha chachomim. Also der din is not keshpete dik takone. That this din that you have daladamas is not a later takone. Rasha wouldn't talk about a later takone. No, there is anders der meat. It's different with this. Was servert aruis gelernt bederach smach. Here it's also this not just like by the case of the tchum. It's not clear in the posik. It's not iker. Here also Rasha is b'derech som chachamim. Dur chachamim. They had a smach, but from posik gufa. They learned it from the posik itself. In other words, this is pshat in the posik. Umit chachamim meint Rasha. When Rasha says mikan som chachamim for the dalad ames, Rasha means the chachmi Yisrael shebechol deir on ebdik from deir shamayshe. It means chachamim for all generations. It means this is a chachamadik type of thing, not the chachamim made in stakone. If you're a chacham, you have found that category. You learn that pshat. So it goes on all the Chacham from generation. In other words, if you look deeper into the pasuk, this is what it means. Derech says the bir repeat Rasha done. So now let's apply it to the Rasha by us. And the pasuk that we're talking about, eating at chatzos the karbonis. Learning the pasuk being karbona yeyochel liyaniich men ad beikim. The pasuk says you could eat it on the day you brought the korban. Don't leave it over till the next morning. So you have a kasha right away, a question. The Balda Teira kommt aber stehen in dem Zman Achilas HaKorban, since what the Pasuk is trying to do, tell us, establish how long, when you could eat this korban. Like it staying clear. It should have said very clear. B'yem karbona yochel ad beker. The day of the korban, you could eat it till the morning. As man Achilas ad beker, you would understand that the time to eat it is till the morning. For what's the Pasuk mafsik mit ananderin yelei nichben? Why does the Pasuk in the middle put in something? He says here that you could eat it the day. Don't leave it over till the morning. Why is he mentioning leaving over? Why doesn't he say till when you could eat it? Why does he call it leaving over? You can't. The Pasuk just wants to tell us that after the time that you're allowed to eat it, if it's over that, you're over and alav, you transgress a negative mitzvah and alav, yeah, he should have said it, but later. After you finish the first thing, he should have said you could eat it the day till the morning. Should have said that. Then he should add and don't leave over. Why did he say eat it the day? And then he says don't leave over to the morning. What about when could you eat it? The person didn't say it. It's the full move from the Chura, so it seems from that word that the time to eat it doesn't go till the morning. When the far statement that's why he doesn't say you can eat it till the morning. Next morning. Don't leave it over till the morning. Because from the Pasuk itself, you see, the Rebbe said before that it's not that we know that it's still chatzos from the Chachamim. We know it from the Pasuk. The Pasuk says, eat it during the day. Don't leave it over to the morning. What is mashma? That leaving, you can't leave it over in the morning, after the morning. But you can't eat it till then either. Not outside free. You have to stop eating it at time before the morning, which happens to be the pale by chatzos. By chatzos you have to finish. And the agbola ad beiker, now that the Torah says till the morning, which means not over the morning, is not going to get yaniach menu. Not leaving it over. Yaniach me'ayeg sein später, make es halten bei sich echt noch chatzos. In other words, you could eat it at night, but only till chatzos. From the pasuk, you could eat it to a certain time, not till the morning. You could leave it over after that. In other words, you don't burn it. After it comes the morning, it becomes nicer and you have to burn it. But till the morning, you could leave it up. You could leave it. But you can't eat it till the morning. When them zog the Torah, therefore the Torah zogt on, Torah, leyaniach menad baker. Don't leave it till the morning, the Torah. Adayaniach tonit zayin ad baker. The leaving over cannot be till into the morning. Since the Torah says you could eat it during the day, it doesn't say to eat it at night. Then it says leaving over, don't leave over in the morning. So it means that the Torah is telling you that the leaving, the isser of the keeping it, leaving it, could come after the time of eating. There's a time that you have to stop eating, but you still could leave it, and the morning is the time you can't leave it anymore. So the time of eating has to be further away from the time of leaving over. And that came at chatzos till chatzos. And the reason is because the yoniach memenu is only terayin in the baker. So according to this chat, why did the chacham till chatzos? So the leaving over should not go too late. See, normally we learn that the reason they said till chatzos the chachamim, because otherwise you might eat it after the zman in the morning. But now we're saying no. You can learn pshat Rashi different. He says you could eat it during the day, you could eat it at night till chatzos, then you could leave it. But we're afraid that you're going, and you could leave it till the morning. But we're afraid you might leave it too long. That's why the Torah says you have to stop eating it by chatzos. The Torah didn't say the word chatzos, but the Torah you have to stop eating it. You can't eat it all the way through the night. You have to stop eating before today, and then you leave it over to make sure that you don't leave it over too much. You can't eat it after chatzos. But according to the comes the question, on the other hand, if the Torah means if the Torah Taka wants to tell you that you're not allowed to eat it, even before the morning came, you can't eat it till the morning. But the Torah gedaf keveya zayin dem zman bizvadim amegas nebsar hazepah. The Torah should have told us till when you could eat it. The Torah didn't say till when you could eat it. We understand it can't be directly because the Torah didn't say you could eat it at night, but the Torah didn't say till when. Why does the pasuk say vague? You could eat it the day you brought it. What's main the pashtas am ganzen yom misled. Normally it means, if it says the day, it means the whole 24 hours, including the night. In order 27, the Rebbe says that sometime when it says b'yom, it means day and not night. That's not what it means here. But the Torah is trying to say, because there are certain kabbonos you could eat for 2 days and a night. The day that you brought it, the next night, and the next day. So this one is not like that. You could eat it only the first day. But he's not telling us that it means only the day, not the night. So it means the whole 24 hours. The other ones you could eat for a day and a half. This one you could eat only 24 hours. From them is moving, the way the Torah writes it, it seems, as a mega says not baker. Since the Torah says b'yom, it seems like I could eat it in the morning. But we have a raya that you can't eat it all the way till the morning, because the Torah would have said it. So we're stuck in between. If them zok Rashi, taka true. That's the Taich in the Rashi. It says in Pasuk, don't leave it till the morning. So Rashi says, but you could eat it the whole night. So Be'emes Taket, from the Pasuk is mashma, you could eat it the whole night. And that's Taket what you could do. And then Rashi, so why did the Chacham say, why is the Chachamim or not the Chachamim, why is there a din not chatzos? The answer is to keep a person away from the Veda. But what does that Rashi mean, the way the Rebbe is explaining? It means like this. The fact that the Torah says don't leave it into the morning, and it doesn't say you could eat it till the morning, from that we said comes out that you can't eat it till the morning, because it doesn't say eat it till the morning. So that's on one hand. So we see from the Torah, from the diuk and the words of the Torah, that you cannot eat it till the morning. On the other hand, the Torah doesn't give it the time till when you could eat it. Which, trying to say that you could eat it till the morning, the Torah should have said the time. If the Torah would have said the time when you could eat it, so we understand that till the morning you can't leave it over, and you could eat it till then. So the Torah doesn't say it. The question is why. We have a raya that you can't eat it till the morning. We have a raya you could eat it till the morning. It's a Rashi explains it about the Torah of the zwei Sachen. The Torah is telling us two things here. The main meaning of the words "don't leave it out till the morning," which we would call, as Rashi uses by the Tchumin, Ikri shel mikro, was kumtla, and it comes to teach us. Yes, the fact that it says "don't leave it till the morning" is mashmeh that you could eat it till the morning, because he didn't say to eat it, to stop eating before. So we know that you could eat it till the morning. Why? Because looking at the main part of the din, there's nothing wrong. There's no aveda, no prohibition to eat it till the morning. You could eat it till the morning. So bemis you could. The pale mamish you can't. And the second thing we see, now, if it mashes from the pasuk that you could eat it till the morning, so it comes out that you could. But we do have a raya from the pasuk, not that has to be stopped before. And as the Rebbe said before, where do we know it? Not from the Chachamim. We know it because the pasuk did not say you could eat it till the morning. Is mashma you have to stop eating earlier. In them diuk loshna mikli yaniach men not baker. From the fact that the Torah just says don't leave it till the morning, is the Torah maramas, the Torah hints as es darf sein a hefsek. There has to be a separation. Arichut bisman zwischen yaniach men und das man von essen. That there has to be a time when you have to stop eating and you still could keep it. You could hold it, and it's not a time of yaniach men that you just have to stop keeping it. And the reason why they Torah gave, there's a din to stay up, keep a person away from avera. And the Rebbe says here, Nora 28, and this explains also why that Loshen here is Yaniach. Another place it says Leisesiru, do not leave over. The Rebbe goes into the Diyukim here, which is gets a little bit more complicated. So the Rebbe says that Rashi is trying to tell us two things here, which if you want to use a little bit more the Lomdish Sprach, even though in Rashi, in Pshuta Shemikah, we don't use the Lomdish, there's two things here. There's the Din B'Peil, the actual Din, and then there is the Hagdora of the Din. In other words, sometimes there's a din. Essentially, the din could be so and so and so. But because of side reasons, the din is not like that. That's exactly what he's doing here. From the posek itself, the ikar meaning of the posek is you could eat it the whole day. So be'etzem, you could eat the korban till the next morning from the Torah. Came up with the Torah, and the Torah said, but the bottom line, l'peil mamish, you can't eat it. Because we see that from the Torah did not give the time to eat in the morning that you can't eat it. There has to be a time that you have to stop eating and you still could keep it. And you only have to get rid of it and you're not allowed to keep it over into the morning. High timer is Omer Chacham at Chatzos. That's why the Chachamim said, or not the word Chachamim, but Rashi means the Chachamim said till Chatzos, the Baal Torah zogt, as es darf sein achot es mafia niachamenu, since the Torah says that there has to be a time between when you finish eating and a time till you, as long as you could keep it, which means there's a time that you have to finish eating, you can't eat it, but you still could keep it. By evaluating with their chachma, the nature of people, Meshayir given, so they come, they estimate it. That already they figured out. When he says that the chachamim did it, so now he says we mean chachamim already in time of Moshe Rabbeinu, not the chachamim in the period of the chachamim. This is the chachamim will learn the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu, etc. Learned that the posuk hints to us that you should know there has to be a time. Now the Torah didn't give the exact time, but the chachamim were the ones that figured out what the exact time, how much time do you need to make sure that you won't come to the avera. So they figured out the bituchtzos. And the Rebbe explains in order 29, maybe according to the Girsa we have, Rashi didn't write kan that the chachamim said. So it doesn't say the word chachamim, but he just says loma omro, doesn't say chachamim. So maybe the reason is because Rashi B'dafke doesn't write the word chachamim. Because if you write the word chachamim, automatically you think of the chachamim as a tkufa, as a period of the chachamim. He Beferish doesn't want to say the chachamim. They said, they meaning anybody who learns this and learns it properly will come to that conclusion that that's what the pasuk means. So we have both things. So the Hagdore, the etzem, the zman achile of the korban could be till the morning. The Peil Mamish, for a side reason, the Torah said don't eat it. Since sof kosof, it's not a real isur from the din be'etzem, essentially. It's only in order to keep you away, like a siog, a fence to keep you away from doing avera. Zokt as the Torah need beferish. That's what the Torah didn't write it clearly. In Rucharemes, in diuk haloshev el chavert mefurish from the chachamim. The Torah just made it a diuk in a word that the chachamim figured it out, not the chachamim, the people chachamim, but this is the way the chachma figures out. So it's both, but this is not. And now order 30, the Rebbe brings from different Gemara that we find such a thing that certain times the Torah said something and didn't say clearly when, and that gave the Chachamim the right to decide what it means, not just to figure out from the post. So they decide. This is one of those things. The Torah just told us, the way we learn Pshuta Shemikah, the Torah told us that you have to you could leave it till the morning. The Torah is telling us, that you could have to stop eating before that a little bit. And left it over to the Chachamim, the smart people who will learn the Torah, starting from Moshe Rabbeinu, and be able to come up based on the nature of people what it is. But the fact that you can't eat it after Chatzos is also Midaraisa according to Rashi. And the difference is that till the morning is still called Zman Achile. It's still a time of eating, even though B'Peil you can't eat it. And that's connected. That's why the din of Neisar, if you leave it over the time, you have to burn it. It's called Neisar. Neiser comes after the Zman Achil is over, if the time of eating is over. In this case, it's Neiser only if it goes into the morning. Why? But you have to stop eating before. Because the Neiser goes after the time of eating. Till the morning is called the time of eating. Because Ba'atzim you should have been able to eat it. So that Rashi is trying to give it that the Torah is telling us the concept behind it, that you were able to eat it Ba'atzim a whole night, till the morning. The Pelmamish you can't because of a side reason. Is moving for what Rashi brings in the Minyan Frier and Parsha Bay. This explains why Rashi doesn't bring this in Parshas Bay when they get the Korban Pesach. And that's earlier, and as we asked Bikasha before, you should bring it earlier, not later. You should explain it in the first place. There is no hint in the Pasuk, but that there's a certain time that you can't eat it, that you really should be able to and you can't. In the Pasuk with the Pasuk where it says don't leave it over into the morning, he's not talking about eating the Korban Pesach B'chlal. That's another Pasuk where it says early eat the meat. So b'meila there we have no raya from the Pasuk that it has to be only till Chatzos. So Rashi can explain there. So why is it till Chatzos? Who says it's till Chatzos? In Pshutashim we don't know. When it comes to our parsha, we're here that we see it has to be earlier than the morning that you have to stop eating because the Torah didn't give the time. So here Rashi says we know it has to be earlier, and the Chachamim figured out the Chatzos. And Rashi explains that why is it till Chatzos? Because that the Chachamim figured out. So it's the Chachamim figured out pshat in the posig. The Mela to the Raisa. In the Minyan Ayal Zet Leib Dik Aloshim Betachos and Pirish Rashi Al Torah. According to what we said before, we see how exact every word in Rashi on his commentary on the Torah, every word is exact. The Parsha B'Shalach by Yisur Tchumim, when Parsha B'Shalach, where Rashi says that we learn off in the Pasuk the Isur of Tchumim, the prohibition of going out of the Tchum of the beyond the place that we're allowed to go out on Shabbos. Rashi uses the words Ein Tchumin Ela Medivre Sefer. The din of Tchumin is only Medivre Sefer. Aber bei Ninja von Daladamas Yetze Chutz LeTchum. But the other thing that if you go out of the Tchum, you have Daladamas to be is Loshe Rashi and Kan Somcha Chachomim. Here it says the Chachomim learned out. Well, there is a Parsha Seinu Zot Rashi by us also. Like the Girsa Bekamekis V'Yad Kanal Omrchom. According to one Girsa, Rashi says the word Chachomim. So over there, the one thing he calls a Divre Sefer, another thing he calls it Chachomim, but yes, he calls it Chachomim, according to that Ksav Yad. Rabbi will explain based on what we said before. We'll see why these words are exact. The chiluk Seferim Chachomim, different between the title Seferim and the title Chachomim, is the Teira Seferim is Bikematik Yedi and Sefer HaTeira. That stresses the knowledge in the Sefer. Seferim is from the Lashon Sefer, even though it's Seferim, it's not. It's a chayla, but it's from the same shayrish as the word Sefer. That means that you know what the Sefer says, which is limud v'diyuk b'mikra. It's learning and understanding and being medayik in the psukim. The teir chachomim trotzich pshutik emashmoy. The chacham is smart. Person is generally smart, nothing to do with the words of the pasuk. Therefore, like this, but needn't then applying it to our case. The Uizke learned in Yonim halachas from pasuk was eine verbunden mit Nisyogel Teire. The harchlike odem and avere. This when you learn out an inyan a halacha from a pasuk, which that halacha, even though it's a halacha from the Torah, but it's a chatchilas yog. But I didn't mention before that there are times, even in derech halacha, we find that certain things which are in the Torah, but the Torah made it as a syog, as a fence. In the Torah, it's a syog. We think that all this syogim, anytime there's something that's a fence not to come to do a worse of it, is omed rabbanan. Most of them are. But even halacha, we find that Yisaveng Lekach talks about it a lot, brings different examples. Just to use one example, because it's now before Pesach, so I'll use an example that according to some, that the reason why the Torah made the din of Bal Yiro, Bal Yimotze, why you can't own chometz, because the eating of chometz is so strict, they wanted to make sure you don't come to eat it, so don't even own it. But it's Bal Yiro, Bal Yimotze, not only chometz, Isa Deraisa, but it's a siok. So we do find that. So he says, whenever we learn out a din from the Torah, but it's only a siog, to take a person away from doing avera, that is connected to the character of being a chacham. The Tzav mentioned, a chacham could evaluate with his chachma the nature of people. They're real psychologists to understand the nature of people. So they will establish the fences and the din that you have to say in order to stay away from the Avera. Of the halachas v'nyonim was me learn top from dik loshen hakosa b'sefer. But if we learn out certain dinim, but we learn it out from a diuk, from a expression in the words of the Torah, that's not a siog to the Torah, but it's a inyan we learn out from the Torah. They're connected to seifrim. They're medayik in the words of the sefer. So when we have a siog, that's use the word seifrim, because that's chachamim. I mean, when there is something that has to do the words of the Torah, we use the word who said it, different seifrim. And therefore like this. By Isser Tchumin, Alpayim Mamashal Tchum Shabbat, by the Isser of Tchumin, which means going out more than 1,000 damas outside of the border. Zokt Rasha, das is Mediver Seifrim. Rasha is Mediver Seifrim. We said before, Rasha learns it's the Raise, but he calls it Mediver Seifrim. Well, the Isser is Das Rasha nicht beside the Nifon together. The reason you can't walk out 12 the Isser from 2,000 damas, you can't walk out, is not as a siog. It's not we're afraid if we allow you to go, you'll go more. Because who cares if you go more? I feel when we get them halach rabbi Shabbos and you told by al derech pshat and isim mefurish from Torah. In derech pshat, the way of pshat, there's no isim in the Torah to walk. Who knows how long? The Arsam hold that 12 mil is further iser, but in derech pshat, you can walk as much as you want. There's no isim mefurish from Torah. There's no iser, so you can't say that walking out 2,000 dame is a siog. Das is not a halacha nesefes, was man learned up from the Lashon Ksuvim. If you learn the posik and you see, as we said before, from the way the posik says, and it doesn't mention the lake liyam or whatever, we learn now that there is such a yisur. So what Lashon does Rasha use? This is the difference. The Seifrim said, because that comes from the words. It's not a siog. It's not a chokhmah that you have to be smart to figure out what people might do. So here Rasha said, Medivre Seifrim, there is Alpayim Amo from Tchum Shabbos. Schenke Baminya from Dala Damas Lietze Chutz L'Tchum. Merash is the other thing over there in Pasha B'Shalach that we learn from the posik that if you go out of the Tchum, you have Dalat 4 Ames. Zokt Rasha Mekan Somcha Chachamim. Here says the Chachamim relied on this. Why does he use the Chachamim? While they're hete from Dalat Damas Lietze Chutz L'Tchum, because this that if you go out of the Tchum, you still have Dalat Damas. It doesn't say you have to stand in one place for a second. You still have within 4 Ames that you walk around. Is totally in Asharas Teva Odom. That came because the Chachamim figured out, evaluated the nature of a person. As a mensch kennt sich nicht mit Sam zu sein, bleib malom de mamish. It's not possible for a person to tell him you walked out of the Alpine Mam, you have to stand there like this. You can't move. Can't be. The Rebbe wrote when him gegeben Dalat Ames, they gave him 4 Ames. Rashi says why? Gimel Gufe, 3 is the size of the body, height. Ve'echod l'pishu daim v'raglayim, 1 for spreading. In other words, if you lay down, so your body takes up 3, and then you can stick out your hands and feet, you have 4. So it gives you a space. So the Chom had to figure this out. So it's Taka Derais, as we said before. But some Chachomim, they learn it out, but they learn it out with a svara. And that's why they refer to Chachomim. Well, that is a Parsha saying the same thing in Parsha Tzav. Here also, when we say that you could only eat the korban tirchotzos, it comes as a siog, as a fence, to keep a person away from Avera. Was for that an upshots from Bnei Adam Canal Sifri. We said before that needs that you should figure out and evaluate the nature of people. What do we need in order to make sure that they don't do the Avera, etc. That you need Chachamim. Therefore, Zok Rasha leit kami kisviyad omer Chachamim. So according to other kisviyad, the Rasha writes the Loshen here Chachamim. In order 38, the Rebbe says, and even the Girsa that is the spread one, the one that's the common one, where it doesn't say Chachamim, it just says Loma Omeru, they said Stam. Also, Miposhe Pshat, it means the Chachamim. So Shaykh is the Chachamim, not the Dibra Seifim. So this is, points out, shows how every word that Rashi is Meduyik. Sometimes he says Seifrim, sometimes Chachamim, because it depends in which union it's talking about.